Hey, what's up? Chris Seiter here. I am the head coach and founder of Ex-Boyfriend Recovery and Ex-Girlfriend Recovery. And I'm making this video today to teach you about guilt. How to make your ex feel guilty, and more importantly, should you make your ex feel guilty? But before we jump ahead and start talking about guilt, you need to know where it fits into the overall strategy that I teach people to get their exes back. You see, if you're new to this process, or if you're a little bit confused about how you should use guilt or when you should use guilt, my first recommendation always is the first thing you need to figure out is if you have a chance of getting your ex back. There's nothing worse than sitting and putting all this time and energy and effort into getting an ex back and only to find out later you have no chance at all. So my best recommendation to you is actually go to our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, and there I have put together a special quiz designed to help you understand if you have a chance with your ex. Finding the quiz is super easy. If you're watching this on YouTube, simply look in the description link below and click on the link you see there. You click on that, it will take you right to the quiz. You can answer the questions that you're prompted to answer, and it will put your answers through an advanced algorithm and then give you an idea if you have a chance. Sound good? So again, all you have to do is simply look in the description link below this video, click on that, and you'll be good to go. Now, let's get started and talk about guilt. Guilt is a really interesting thing to talk about. And more than anything, the thing I always debate people on is whether or not they should do it. It has been found and scientifically proven that guilt does work to make someone interested in you again. The problem is, I think it has a little too many negative connotations behind it and negative consequences. Allow me to explain. Scientists have found two really negative consequences of guilt tripping your ex. The first one is avoidance. Now, when you start to make someone feel guilty, or if someone feels guilty for wronging you, they tend to want to avoid you. It's the whole good feelings versus bad feelings type strategy or theory that I've put into play in many of the YouTube videos before this, where we tend to gravitate towards things that make us feel good and we tend to avoid things that make us feel bad. Well, nothing makes us feel worse than feeling guilty about wronging someone. So if you actually do use a guilt trip on your ex, the chances are actually higher that they'll avoid you, which has kind of a negative consequence, especially if you're trying to get them back. Of course, avoidance isn't the only thing that you need to watch out for if a guilt trip happens with your ex. Let's say that you guilt trip your ex and it works. They feel guilty and they feel bad about what they did to you. The problem with that is that the more you guilt trip your ex, or even if you're caught guilt tripping your ex, they're more likely to resent you. Now, avoidance and resentfulness are not really key components towards getting an ex back the last time I checked. In fact, those two key components can actually harm your overall chances. So what does all of that mumbo jumbo mean? Should you use guilt to try to get an ex back? Well, in my opinion, no. In fact, I would make the argument that it is the worst strategy to try. Instead, what you should focus on is trying to make your ex regret the decision to not be with you. So for the rest of this video, that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to give you 3 of my best tips for not just making your ex feel guilty, but making them regret leaving you. Tip number 1. The best revenge in life is massive success. I believe it was Frank Sinatra who once said that the best revenge in life is massive success. And I've actually find that that's a very, very good outlook to use, especially when you go through a breakup. A lot of people really focus on their exes when they go through a breakup. What are they doing? How can I get them back? What they should instead be doing is focusing on themselves. There's not a lot of productive energy that you can waste focusing on what your ex is doing. There's a whole lot of productive energy that you can waste focusing on what you're doing. So in my opinion, focus on bettering your life. Be in a better place when you actually do try to get your ex back. Think of it like this. Let's pretend that you have 2 couples, couple A and couple B. Both couples, couple A and B, go through breakups. Now, one couple is going to get their ex back or going to reconnect and the other couple isn't. What is the one thing that's separating these 2 couples? Well, couple A, or at least one of the members in couple A, when they actually do attempt to try to get their ex back, they're not really in a different place. They have nothing new to bring to the table. Whereas with couple B, There is something new to bring to the table. That person used their time wisely. That person actually made their ex regret leaving them simply by living the life to the fullest. Now I know it sounds cliche, it sounds like, Chris, that's super stupid. Why would you want to do that? Give me something actionable. Well, I've actually found sometimes the cliche advice works better than the actionable advice. Tip number 2, show, don't tell. If you can't tell, I'm a big reading buff and writing buff. That's basically how I live my whole life. It's always been an ambition of mine to write a novel. And in researching how to write novels and what's the best things and giving good tips, one tip I continually stumbled across was show, don't tell. Readers don't really respond as well to being told something as opposed to being shown something. And I have actually used that advice and applied it to my clients who are trying to get their exes back. I find that it's a lot more effective if you show your ex what they're missing out on via interpersonal ways through Facebook, for example. Let's say that you're going out all of the time and you want to share that information with your ex, but not in a direct way, in an indirect way. Well, the best way to do that is actually posting something on Facebook, right? So that your ex, when they're sitting and stalking your page, which scientists have shown that around 90% of exes will stalk or Facebook creep on your pages after a breakup, they're seeing the best version of you. They're seeing what they're missing out on. The cool part is you're not directly telling them. See, there's 2 ways to do this, right? There's the way where you can have a conversation with your ex and actually tell them that you're going out and doing all this amazing stuff. Oh, hey, I went skydiving, for example. And then there's the way that you can show it, where they're stalking your Instagram page, for example, and you're posting something about you going skydiving, an actual picture of you skydiving in the air. That's a great example of showing and not telling. Tip number 3. Consequences are important to give. It's crazy to me how much stuff women and men will let their exes get away with. I've seen exes do all sorts of horrible things to my clients. And when I tell them, wow, you're being treated really horribly, you should give your ex a consequence. You should do something to make them know that it's not okay for you to be treated that way. It's shocking to me how many men and women take the advice but don't do anything with it. It's shocking to me how many men and women let their exes walk over them. Think of it like this. Let's pretend that you have a dog. And you love your dog more than anything in the world, but it's got this little pesky, annoying habit of peeing everywhere. Are you going to reward the dog with a treat every time it pees on a rug, every time it pees on your carpet? No, of course not. You're gonna give it a consequence. You're gonna typically take something away. You're gonna discipline it in some way. Why? So that you're not reinforcing that bad behavior. What makes you think people are any different? If someone knows they can walk all over you, they're going to continue to walk all over you. But if you give them a little pushback, or if you do something like just ignoring them for some time, then they'll understand they shouldn't treat you that way. Now, what constitutes a good consequence? Well, in my experience, your consequence needs to match how you were wronged, right? There's typically, I'll give you an extreme example. Let's pretend that your ex has cheated on you and you've caught them red-handed. There's no way they can talk themselves out of this. What's a good consequence to give them? Should you go and cheat with someone else? No. You should break up with that person. That's a consequence. Great consequences cause great internal pain. It causes pain in a way that makes your ex sit back and think, I never want to feel this bad again. I never want to feel guilty for what I did again. I need to find a way to correct this. I regret how I behaved. That is the ultimate reality of what happens when you give your ex a good consequence. Now you may be sitting there and thinking, okay, these are good tips, Chris, but you're not giving me the details that I want. If you want more details, all you have to do is go to our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, and literally find the article that this YouTube video is attached to. The way I write articles now is pretty simple. I map out the videos I'm going to perform, I record the videos, and then I go downstairs into my office and write for 2 or 3 hours or however long it takes to find ways to expand on the points that I'm making in these videos. So if you want to get that type of interpersonal or in-depth descriptions on what I'm talking about here, it's really easy. All you have to do is go to our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com. The first thing I think you should do there is actually take our quiz that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. That, after you take that quiz, will direct you to where you need to go. It's going to direct you for what I think should be the ideal start here place. And of course, if you go to our website, you'll be able to find more on our blog. So if you haven't already, make sure you do that. And one final thing, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'm doing daily videos on how to get back with your ex, how to get over your ex, mostly how to get back with your ex though. So subscribe if you haven't already. It's somewhere around here. I'll see you next time.